I'm in the hot seat, huh?
And good evening. Welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight I've got a very special guest, a gentleman I've known for quite a few years, and his family, local gentleman, and he's the newly hired head boys basketball coach at New London High School, Dave Cornish. So, Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Marty.
Been looking forward to this since your hire. So talked to you, I don't know, about a month, 5 weeks ago, and shortly after your announcement was made public, and we're able to get you on pretty quick. So I'm tickled to have you, and let's have a good conversation.
All right, absolutely.
Just noting at the top, I mean, you're from a local family, and your father was a terrific guy and man of the cloth.
Yep.
And I enjoyed him tremendously, and he was a real community presence, and I thought just good for our community.
Right. I mean, he ministered through the church, and hopefully I can kind of minister through a different venue, different avenue
Well,
to get through.
You've been doing it a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and now your mom, she's moved to Florida, right?
She's in Florida, yes.
And is your sister down there as well?
She's down there as well, and my younger brother, he's down there as well.
So you're the only one who's hanging up here in the
sole
Northeast.
survivor up here in the cold.
Well, now, just for a little bit of background for those who may not know you, I mean, you got your feet wet in and around basketball. I wouldn't say necessarily coaching, but you worked for Coach Ralph Ruggiero
Many years.
35 years ago.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to believe.
I know. I'm just like
I see Ralph around town. I mean, he's still around, and
yep.
And from 87 to 94, you were a manager and statistician and assistant coach. Now, did you do them concurrently, or did you work your way into an assistant coach?
Well, I think I worked my way into that, you know, because he asked me to come on and just be a manager, you know, at first, and then take the other team's stats, and I kind of liked that. And then, you know, when they went scouting teams with him, you know, Chop, Jimmy O'Neal, I tagged along with him. So that's Joe Basilica also. So I got into it that way.
Now, were you a student at that time, or were you out of school?
That was my senior year. 87, 88 was my senior year in high school.
Now, did you play at all in high school?
I didn't. I was going to go out my senior year. We had Todd Fine, we had Mike Lancaster, Leo Clinton. And I knew my ability. I was okay, but they were better than me, and I came to grips with
powerhouse teams during that time.
No, they were pretty good. I'll admit it, they were pretty good. And I said, I'm not going to play in front of those guys. So, and Coach asked me to come on and help out, and I said, you know what, I can stay in the game, and I practiced with those guys, and played around and practiced with them. So I had fun.
Well, you started your tutelage under a very successful coach with Coach Ralph.
Oh yeah. I learned a lot under Coach Ruggiero, a lot.
And then you moved on after a brief hiatus to a stint at Three Rivers. I didn't even know if Three Rivers had a team, but maybe they did back in the early '90s there. And he says Ricky Sylvia was their coach, and he's a former New London guy.
Yeah, he. It was funny because Ricky called me up. They were starting a team up there, and he called me up and asked if I wanted to be his assistant. I wasn't doing anything at the time. I was actually had gone with Tyson for a little while up to URI for his 4 years, and I was, I traveled around with him, and Ricky asked me to come on, and I said, you know what, I'll come help you out, Rick. So it was about 2 years, and then that I think that program had stopped. I'm not sure if it stopped. I can't quite remember exactly what happened. But we had some pretty good local players. We had Leonard Miller on the team. Marlon Delgado played. One of their another kid that played for NFA, Kyron Sands, who unfortunately was killed a few years back, but he was very good as well. So we had some pretty good players, and that's how it happened with Three Rivers.
And then you sidle up on the bench with back at Northern High with Coach Parker.
Yeah, I was out for a few years, and at the time I think Chop had an assistant, but I think he abruptly quit for some reason or another. I'm not sure what it was. And Chop called me up and asked what I was doing, and I said, no, I'm not doing anything. And he asked if I wanted to come on and coach. That time I didn't have my certification, and they were real big on, being certified. So I came on as a volunteer assistant, signed up for the classes out of Project Learn, and got my certification. I was there for, I believe, a year or two, because Sam Jones at the time took over the JV position because he was certified. So I wasn't. So I stayed on there, and Sam ended up leaving, and I just stepped into that position, and the rest is history.
Now, did you go to college?
I went to Mitchell for a year. My mom, she was working down there, so I took some classes for free. But I wasn't. I didn't really. I don't know. I just didn't. College. Some people, they love college. Some people don't. I just didn't. I didn't like it for some reason.
Well, it is not for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe that Chop's a college guy.
Oh, okay.
And he's a classmate of mine. I go back to him with grammar school.
Mm-hmm.
Long time. So you're working with Coach Parker, and again, you've been blessed, at least at New London, having some pretty talented young players.
Oh yeah, I tell people I've seen a lot of talent come and go through those hallways, through that basketball court.
Yeah, there's been a number of state titles, and really kind of put a mark, for the school. And I think, for the most part, it's been exceptionally positive that these young men have, and now recently the young women as well.
Oh yeah,
have been representing themselves, the school, and the community very well.
Very well, yeah, very well. I was just talking to Coach Ruggiero about that yesterday, about some of the games we played over the years, and he said to me, "Boy, you remember all of that?" I said, "Yeah, it's just some good times, man. Some good times."
Now, what have you taken out of working your way up as an assistant to the point where it's a little over 10 years now that you broke off and you went over, you had an opportunity to go to Ledyard as the head coach, that you took with you, that you learned as an assistant in terms of, whether it be preparation or working with the youngsters, getting them in shape, getting them prepared for their academics. I mean, if you don't do well in classroom, you can't play.
Right.
So, I mean, there's more responsibilities than just showing up and tossing a ball out there.
Oh yeah, and that goes unnoticed. Nobody really talks about the relationships you build with the kids outside of basketball, and so I mean, you build those relationships so you kind of know which buttons to push and which ones you can't. Certain kids you can, just different things you learn about the kids. So, and I think that's very important to build that relationship. But what I learned from Coach Ruggiero was the organization, being organized, practice plans, organization, being on time for things. He's like a neat freak. If you go to his house, he has everything in a certain area. He's like that, and I kind of, took some of that from him. I'm not quite like that, but he wrote down he had these little his cue cards or whatever. He practice times, certain drills, and all that, and so I took that from him.
Now, when you get in season, are you finding that you are practicing as you would in general, or do you practice for an opponent?
It's tough because you can't coach out of season. So
I don't mean out of season. I mean when you're in.
No.
Before the season starts and you get your workouts and you get the guys doing whatever you have them do. Do you do that all year, or do you get into in season and then you start?
No, I know what the question is. I'm answering it in this way.
Okay.
It's because you can't practice out of season. You have to, when you start, you have to not only get them in shape with conditioning. Then you also have to put plays in, and then you also have to prepare for opponents. So it's kind of difficult at times, right from the beginning of the year. But as the year goes on, your teams are starting. They're in shape now, and they kind of understand what you want to do offensively and defensively. So then you just kind of practice for opponents as the season goes on.
Mm-hmm. And how much input do you have as a head coach in terms of your schedule?
Phil,
or is that the AD's job?
No, I try to, alleviate some of the pressure off of the AD by trying to, schedule the opponents. And I'm one that likes to schedule. I run from nobody. I like to schedule. If I have a good team, I'm definitely scheduling the best teams out there if I can. And I think Mr. Orby, he understands that. So he's giving me a chance. I went out and I got, Classico from Rhode Island this year. I was trying to get Bishop Hendricken again, but I'm not sure. We have one game available. He's not sure if he can fit us in, but I got Fairfield Prep. I think we needed 3 games. I got East Hartford again, and I'm trying to either get Hill House or Middletown, But I want to. If I have a good team, I'm going to challenge my kids. I want my kids to be challenged. I don't want easy games.
Yeah. That said, what is your take on the conference that we're? I mean, the ECC, New London is generally in the upper tier, mm-hmm. And you catapulted when you were at the head coach at Ledyard. You did extraordinarily well. I mean, I remember seeing a team over there before you got over there that was not so hot. I mean, they were lucky to have won a couple of games. I mean, New London could have run their JV team, I think, and won that game. And I was over there. But I mean, NFA, and you just finished a couple of seasons at Norwich. I mean, that's a big school.
Yeah.
But then the conference is so big and unwieldy. I mean, there's a wide gap between the schools, and enrollment and athletics, and mm-hmm. which sports different schools are stronger or not. They're not all equal across the board.
Right. Well, if you, the ECC pretty much is split into 2 halves nowadays. So you have the Division 1 and 2, and then you have Division 3 and 4, and obviously New London's in Division 1, so they'll play the tougher schools anyway. And St. Bernard's is, they just won a state title, so they're right there. Fitch is going to be right there. Waterford, I believe, is still going to be solid. So there's still some good teams, good competition in the ECC. The upper half, the lower half, Griswold was very good this year. Killingly was very good. They'll probably get a drop off, but Stonington's going to be tough again next year. So they have there's some good competition in the Division 3-4 as well.
Yeah. Now, what about player movement? I mean, that's one thing that has changed significantly since I was in school. That mm-hmm. You grew up in a particular community, you played for the hometown team, and there was not much choice except maybe going to a parochial school. Yeah. So, which in our area was St. Bernard's.
Yep.
In today's day and age, the youngsters with magnet schools and charter schools and agricultural programs or whatever it may be, the kids have opportunities to move.
There's so many schools popping up all over the place. Even in the Hartford area, you got MLC, Public Safety Academy. You got Innovation in New Britain. There's so many opportunities for kids to go to different schools and learn, get different education. So, I mean, you can't fault them for wanting to go to, get that education.
And if I'm not mistaken, with the rules today too, if a kid transfers, that they don't have to sit, where years ago they would have to sit out a year or a particular season, I believe.
Well, they do have to sit. If their address, if they don't physically move, they do have to sit. But if their parents decide to pick up and move to another town, who's to say? You can't say, hey, you can't leave this town. You can't. So, It is
America.
It is America. They can move if they want.
Now, I see you've got an H on your shirt here. I was kind of expecting an NL, but I wore my green and gold tie here just for tonight.
I got to get some, New London gear. I have some old gear, but I need some new stuff.
But coming on the set, you mentioned that you go to coaching clinics up in Cambridge with Coach Tommy Amaker up at Harvard.
Oh yeah,
and that must be a good experience for you.
Yeah, I go there. I've been going there probably the last 7 or 8 years, and I've seen some really good clinics up there and great basketball minds. The first year I went up there, I saw Brad Stevens when he was coaching for the Boston Celtics. Jim Calhoun was just there recently. Lionel Hollins, Brett Brown, the old former Sixers head coach. Stan Van Gundy was up there just about 2 years ago. So there's been some great Gino Auriemma. Been some great basketball minds up there. Yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty exciting. So how wide of a berth are coaches coming to go to that particular?
There's a lot. I think mostly out of Mass, New Hampshire, the New England area. Pretty much they get that kind of crowd, but it's very good. They had another one at Emerson College last year as well, which was, I think they had 13 speakers. Steve Pico, the Jones brothers, Joe Jones from Boston University, James Jones from Yale. They had a bunch of guys out there. It was great, and that was the whole weekend, and that was really.
Yeah. Well, Yale's program has amped up. I mean,
oh yeah. Coach Jones does a fabulous job up there.
Yeah, I enjoy watching Ivy League athletics in general, but watching the basketball and their ice hockey and football. Now
that Tyson's up at Brown, I'm always at the Brown games. I go to the practices with him.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So I'm always trying to learn, Marty. Always.
Well, put a bug in Tyson's ear because I'd like to get him in that seat. He's told me he would, but I mean reaching him sometimes can be.
He's a busy man recruiting,
But I have gone up to Brown this last year a couple of times. As a matter of fact, I saw Yale play and Cornell up at in Providence.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And that's an intimate gym up there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
As well as the Yale gym is. I love the.
Oh yeah, that old style. That's really, really, really nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, do you? I was going to ask you if Jeremy Lin ever passed through any of these.
No, they have
Harvard guy. I mean, who
they have his jersey up
for a
there,
while.
but no, I haven't seen him. No.
I don't know if he's a coach or not, but I mean, he certainly had a lot of publicity there for a few seasons.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Lin.
I saw him play when he was at Harvard a few times.
Yeah.
You never know sometimes.
No, you never know who's going to be that next star out of the college ranks.
Now, how do you have any kind of formal program with your players in terms of seeing that they stay on top of their academics, that they or if there's slippage? I mean, do you work with the teachers? Do you have tutoring? What do you do to ensure that these kids stay on top of their game in the classroom? Well,
in the past, what we did at Ledyard High School, we had academic support, in place for those athletes that needed it, twice a week. And then some of them just wanted to go anyway just to stay on top of their academic work. There is a plan in place at New London. I'm not there yet, but I've been talking to a few people that deal with that, and we are going to sit down before school and, have a plan in place for this following school year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so important. I mean, and you've been now involved in coaching and as a head coach for a number of years now. What role do you take in regards to the seniors that moving to the next step, whether it's going to be playing basketball or perhaps going into something else that often a coach is a very, very important person in these young people's lives, and they're looking to you for assistance and guidance I suspect, for a number of things.
Oh, yeah. I always ask players, especially the upcoming, the seniors, do they want to play in college? What do they want to do? Just to find out where their head's at and what their plan is. And depending on what they want to do, we'll take it from there. I mean, if I've asked actually some of the kids that are here now that I've talked to in the summer league, do you want to play in college? And they're only juniors, but you got to get ahead of things so we can start working on things now to get them where they need to be.
Now, have you established a rapport with college coaches where if you've got a kid that maybe would be a good fit at a particular school or with a particular coach that that may assist that youngster having an opportunity?
Well, I do a lot of networking when I go to these clinics, and I also had when I had Deontay Bruton, he went up to Nichols, and his old coach now, he texted me the other day, he's at Revere College, Revere University in New Hampshire, and he texted me, just to keep in touch, because he was just at Rhode Island College. But I remember him about 3 years ago, I saw him at a senior all-star game, so he comes up and asks me, hey, you got any more Deontay Brutons? I said, no, I wish I did. But I established...
He had a great college career.
Yeah, he did. And, and little Tyson Wheeler's heading up to Nichols, which, which would be pretty good for him, too. I expect him to have a pretty good career up there as well.
Now, Nichols is D3, is that correct?
It is, yep. But I tell the kids, you want to go somewhere where you're going to play. I mean, yeah, you want to go, obviously, to a high level, but you don't want to sit on the bench. That's not fun. You want to play. And I thought Deontay could have played higher, but you know what? He got a great education at one of the top business schools in the country, and he had a great career at Nichols.
Yep. Has he been able to parlay his basketball into his post-college life as well?
Well, he went into business, so now he's using that degree that he has, and he's still playing. He can still play. Very good.
Well, I mean, you mentioned, we talk about Tyson. I mean, here's a guy who had a terrific career at Rhode Island, and he's managed to stay. Basketball's still what he does.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not everybody's able to do that.
Right. Well, he doesn't have to play anymore, so it's a little more easier on his knees and
Well, but the opportunities to get into coach at that level. I mean, every step up, there's less and less jobs. I mean,
yeah, that's true. But when you have a well-known name, it's a little easier to get. You have a relationship with a lot of different people, and they can network, and that's what my whole deal is. When I go to these clinics, and I talk to Tyson, and I meet different people, and I try to make connections and establish networking. To this day, I have a friend that coaches at Stonehill College, Chris Cross, and we correspond every now and then. So you want to, keep these doors open just in case I have a kid that, hey, Chris, give him a call and, let him know. And then he'll tell me, because I had a kid a few years back, and then he'll tell me, hey, I reached out to such and such, and he wants to take a look at the kid. So, you build those relationships as well with the college coaches so you can help out those kids.
Yeah. Do you have any relationship with Glenn Miller?
I don't, and I want to establish one this year. He's up at St. Joe's.
Yes.
So
and Mitchell's now in that league.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, that's right. And I know Glenn from, playing in the Shoot Straight League years ago, but I don't really know him that well, So,
because he's got local ties to Fitch.
Oh, yeah.
And Groton.
Yep.
And Con College.
Yes. Oh yeah, he was Dwayne Stallings' coach.
Yeah, they went to the Final Four.
Oh, they had some really good teams too.
And that's something too. I don't know if the kids sometimes understand, but D3 is these players are good.
They're very good. They may not have the size that the D1 and D2 teams have, but there's some very good players at the D3 level.
No, I mean I've had an opportunity to see at Con a few years ago Amherst in the year that they won the national championship, and I mean these guys were good.
Oh yeah, they're very good.
And
I watched Deontay his senior year in their postseason. I think we went up to Amherst. They played a team out of New Jersey that was really good. And I'm like, wow, these guys can really play.
Yeah, and the Coast Guard also is in a tough league.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean Bryant, I think it is not Bryant. It's another business school, but they won the national championship in the D3 within that same time frame that.
And that's another.
Amherst did.
That's another guy I know, Jared Grasso, who coaches at Bryant. I met Jared Grasso, who's the head coach at Bryant, back when I was helping Chop. I was on his bench, and he was recruiting Alan Cheney at Fordham. So, and we talked. He was at one of the clinics, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember you, coach." And so we kind of exchanged numbers there. So you know, what I mean, I just want to keep the lines of communication open, just in case.
Well, I think that's. I think it's important that but the kids have kind of got to know what their level is. It's kind of like you made a decision in high school.
Right.
These guys play better than I am, and I'm not going to play. So you took a different avenue.
I knew.
You're still in the game.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that you may not play for UConn or Syracuse or one of the D1s or D2 for that matter. Yeah. But you can still play and have fun carve out your space. Now, you had a good run at Ledger. You were there for, what, 10, 11 years?
10 years, yeah.
And you visited the state tournament on a pretty regular basis.
Yes. Yeah.
And did very well within the conference with the ECC. And then you stepped aside.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised. I thought you'd found a home over there.
Well, I did. I mean, 10-year run. At the time, my dad had passed away. COVID was going, all this stuff with the COVID thing going. So there was a lot of things going on at the time. And so I just was kind of, I didn't say burnt out, but I needed to step away and clear my head for a little bit, So I stepped away, went to Florida, got some of that good sunshine weather, got down there with Chris Vincent at the time was coaching down at Miami-Dade Junior College. Got down there with him, started watching some more basketball while I was on vacation. I said, oh man, I'm gonna miss this. I gotta get back into this. And so, couple months off, and then, someone called and asked would I be interested in an NFA job. And I said, possible. So I didn't apply right away. And then I ended up applying. It was late in the game, and I said, you know what? Let me just apply and see what happens.
And you had 2 years at Norwich, correct?
Correct.
Now, did you replace Kurland, or was there somebody in between?
It was Chris Giusti. He was the coach prior to me.
Yeah, because Kurland was there a long time.
He was. Yep.
So you're replacing Chop, who'd been in London for pushing 30 years, and Kurland was at Norwich for a long time. Yeah.
Giusti, the coach prior to me, had a pretty successful run at NFA too. I think he was there for about 8 years, 8 or 9 years, I think.
And then you now have this opportunity at your alma mater, and that's pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, well, hey, what's it, 36 years had come around full circle.
How about that?
It's been a long time, when I first starting, 87, 88.
Any pressure?
I mean, the only pressure that I would put on myself. I wanted to do what, I want to be the best I can be for not only New London High School, but the community of New London. And that's the only thing I would feel I fail the community and the school if we don't do what we set out to do, so.
Now, the being a local guy, are you getting encouragement or push from any of the local folks that follow New London athletics, or local parents, any of that kind of stuff? Or are they giving you a little bit of a honeymoon period here to catch your breath and sort things out?
You know what? For the most part, when I run into people around town, is nothing but positive responses. Happy to have you back. We can't wait. It's been nothing but positive. I mean, obviously, there's going to be the other negative things out there, which is fine. But as long as there's more positive than negative, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Well, you're as a coach, you're in the public eye, and I've been in the public eye. And when you are, you make some folks happy, and there's going to be some folks that aren't gonna find your actions to fit their needs. But you got to do what you got to do.
That's it. You got to do what you got to do.
Now, you feel that you've got a good base of players that you're coming into here?
I think New London's always going to have good players, good athletes coming through. Right now, I'm trying to get a handle on all the kids that are coming back. We just had a summer league. We just had the championship game tonight. But not a lot of, we can't get all the kids to show up at the same time. It's the summertime. They're doing this, they're doing that, football or whatever it may be, vacation here or there. So, and I understand that because it's the summertime. You can't force kids to do that. And if they want to come, they want to come. But I just give them the opportunity. If you want to play, this is here for you. If you don't, it's up to you.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are you going to do with your staff? You're going to keep any of the coaching staff from the last few years, or you're going to bring in a whole new team?
No, I got I have a staff in place right now. I'm going to keep Ken Stanley on as the freshman coach. I bring Cassius Cheney on as my JV coach. I'm going to have my
Cassius Cheney, not Alan, Cassius.
Cassius, yeah. My longtime friend Harvey Morton, who's been with me from Ledger, the NFA, he's been with me for 7 years now. He's going to be a volunteer assistant. And I have Coach Ralph Ruggiero on staff, and Dan Spellman. So 2 former head coaches, And I always say you're only as good as your assistants. So if they can help, alleviate some of the pressure from me, and I think I'll be better.
Mm-hmm. What's your take on kids playing multiple sports, or would you prefer that they just play basketball?
Oh, no, I think they need, multiple. I think at least they need to play at least 2 sports. That's just my take, just my opinion, at least 2 sports. They need to, hear it from another coach, because you don't want to burn them out by hearing the same voice all the time. You get different perspectives from other coaches, different philosophies, which is good for kids, I think.
And different skills are developed.
Different skills are developed as well, yep.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I think over time, I think that in athletics and in many other aspects of life, things are becoming so micro. You just get into one thing. You become you're a gymnast, you're a golfer, you're a basketball player, you play baseball or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And you don't get those other opportunities. And when you're young, this is a good time to do it.
Right. No, I agree.
And years ago, I mean, to be a three sport guy, 3 letterman on your jacket was a big deal.
I think that's tough, though, especially in today's day and age, because there's so many. I know a kid, back in the day who played 3 sports. And now, think about this, playing 3 sports for 4 straight years. you're not getting any breaks. So he got burnt out. He got burnt out. He went from one sport to the next, and there's no breaks. So I think that's a little tough, especially today's day and age with so many opportunities to play AAU and all of that now. And, you know, you can do different things on the baseball field, on the basketball court. So you have a lot of opportunities to keep playing and to specialize in something. I mean, you got, say you play football, then you play basketball, then you play baseball. You're not going to take the summer off because you're either going to play AAU baseball or play AAU basketball. And then you're right back into football again. Right. You know, and so it's like a continuous cycle. I don't think that's good for kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, you brought up AAU. Now that's at least from my perspective anyway, it's a relatively new phenomenon that didn't exist when I was a kid growing up. I mean, at least not for basketball or baseball. Yeah. And I mean, you had American Legion baseball, and there would maybe be summer leagues or something, or rec leagues for the kids to play in, but there was not this specialization again, or road teams with AAU. How do you juggle that? I mean, do you think that the kids are getting? Are they developing skills, or are they developing themselves? If that makes any sense to you.
AAU, actually, this is my first year actually coaching, being the head coach of an AAU program. I've always helped out and never was the guy, I'd come to the games and just help coach. But I think certain programs, they try to help develop skills. Certain programs is a money grab. But AAU is huge because it's a big recruiting tool for colleges. Because you think about it, college basketball their season is the same as high school basketball. So head coaches don't have time to fly across country to go see these kids, when during the summer they can go to these big AAU events where the top players, everybody's in the same place and they're playing against each other. And I think that's how Alan Chaney got recruited. He had a big weekend down in Philadelphia against one of the top players. And after that weekend, his phone blew up, and he blew his stock.
Florida, I think if I recall, they had just won one or two national titles in a row when he went down there.
Yeah. So I think AAU is big in that regards, for recruiting purposes.
Now, are they? The reason I bring it up too is, I mean, at the high school level, I get the impression, talking to a lot of coaches, that you're promoting, team and team effort, teamwork, and you want the guys working together.
Right.
Where perhaps at the AAU level, they're looking to showcase themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is.
And it's a little contrary to what you're trying to instill in them during the high school season.
Yeah, it is. AAU is more of a, showcase. You're trying to get, trying to get noticed, trying to get seen. You want to go out there but you know what? And I tell some of the guys that I coach, I said, when you're warming up, I tell the guys, when you're warming up, you have to warm up, get ready to compete at a high level right from the beginning. Because usually high schools, you may have one or two really good players, and the rest are not as good on their level. AAU, you want to pick the best 8, 9 kids you can get and put them on the team. So, even off the bench, you got really good players. So everybody's trying to get that scholarship. They're trying to showcase their ability, and I don't blame them for it.
Well, it's certainly a different environment.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
Yeah. And the older I get, I look wistfully back to the good old days, but the good old days aren't the days today. You got to get a grip on it.
And it's tough too, coaching those guys, knowing that, they want to show off their skills, and you're trying to incorporate the team concept. But I have to remember, you're at AAU, there's coaches out here watching these kids, so I just let them go. You kind of just let them go, do their thing.
Yeah. I don't know if I've recalled in recent years seeing some college coaches, at least ones that I recognize. I can't say I recognize all the college coaches, but shortly after the St. Joe program was installed, you might say, Calhoun and Miller were at the New London, but I think they were actually scouting somebody from the other squad.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember who it was, but they had a big kid.
It might have been a kid from Prince Tech.
I think that may have been
Kazel Stewart. Might have been him.
But they were in the gym, and it was, and Shay Ralph was in the gym once with the girls' game. I think she was looking at India at the time, and you know, didn't work out. But at that time to go to UConn, but India certainly has carved out her space.
Oh yes, she has. Yes, she has. Done very
Done
well.
herself proud, and her family, and community, school.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody she touches.
Yep.
Been terrific.
Oh yeah. Some good teams too. I miss watching those teams. My stepdaughter Alexis played on the team when she was a freshman, and they won that first state title. So, yeah. And our father Moses, him and I, always talk about those good old years. Oh man, that was good. Just reminiscing.
Yep. Well, I enjoy watching some of our local kids if they're playing reasonably local. I mean, I had Travis Bousselet in here recently. Okay. And he just moved over to Avery Point as athletic director for Mitchell College baseball coach.
Okay, yeah.
And James Childs was long coached over at Avery Point for a number of years, and he was able to get some local talent. It was fun to go over there and watch the local guys play. Yeah.
James did a great job over at Avery Point. Even with, he didn't have the best talent, but they were well coached. He ran a great program over there.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why the kids are where they're at. I mean, you're not, if they're, but from what I gleaned, he worked the kids hard and they respected him. And,
and they still do to this day. You see some of them, they're grown men, he had a police officer, a knowledge police officer, and you come up, Mr. Childs, yes, sir. He still called him, yes, sir. You know what I mean? So, to this day, they still, respect him.
Now, within the last handful of months, I had Mike DeMauro in here, and he had, at that time, had recently written a piece regarding name, image, and likeness, which is primarily, I guess, infiltrating the college levels. But he was writing about where it could be seeping into the high school level. Do you have any thoughts on that, or is it anything that you've had to contend with as a coach yet?
I think it is in the high school level. I'm not well versed in that. I don't know the NIL ins and outs that well to really speak upon that. So that's kind of out of my area. I mean, I have to do more research on it myself.
Yeah, but I mean, if the kids are going to be getting tempted to buy this and
I know. I got to get on it. I'll be on it.
I mean, by earning money or some sort of incentives.
You have to be educated in that, so you know what's going on. Yeah.
Now, as a head coach at the high school level, do you feel compelled to visit and watch younger kids? I mean, whether they're junior high, middle school kids or younger, to see who looks like they may be up-and-comers when they get to high school?
Well, I do that all the time. I've been doing that for years. Been doing it for years. And I like doing it. I like to go to the gym and watch the younger kids play. And it's not only to see who's up and coming, I just like watching basketball. I just like being in the gym watching, basketball, period.
Well, I think that's good. That I think the kids know too that there's a coach in the room too. That So they want to perform as best they can.
You're right. Show off. Yeah.
Now, what are your, as we move into this season, what are your expectations for yourself and for your team?
That hasn't changed from when I was at Ledyard or NFA. Same deal. My team, so I want them to compete. No matter who we play, we're going to compete hard, play hard, and try to win as many games as we can the right way. I just, obviously your goals are to, win the ECC division first, win the ECC, tournament, and then on to the state tournament. So, Chop, years ago always said, let's try to max out the season. And that's how I look at it, now. I took that from him, max out, play to the last game. And once you get in that last game, anything can happen. So if we can play as many games as we can, and the kids don't understand too, the ones that are going for their, 1,000 points or whatever, as many games as you can play, you have more opportunities to score more points. You know what I mean? So those teams that we had back at New London when I was there in 2011, 2010, we always went very deep into the state tournament, and you would play 25, 26 games a year. That's, that's almost another full season. So, so that's our goal, is to play as many games as we can, win as many games as we can, and compete. Mm-hmm. That my teams always want, they're going to be well coached, and we're going to compete.
Well, as a guy I'm a fan. I mean, you see me in enough ball games. I mean, I enjoy. You like watching the kids. I like watching the kids, mm-hmm. and I enjoy watching New London athletics in particular because mm-hmm. I'm a New London guy, right. New London high grad, and I enjoy watching our kids perform and do well and see what the future will portend for these young men and women, for that matter, now.
Oh yes, yeah.
So it's. I wish at times that we get more folks from the community out. Things seem to ebb and flow a little bit, and I think COVID put a little bit of a hurt on things for attendance at games.
Right, it did.
And winning certainly cures a lot of ills. If you're not, teams that aren't winning generally don't draw very well. But,
well, if you put it, winning that, but if you kind of put an exciting product out there, people want to come and see. So hopefully we can do that and draw everybody back in and get those big crowds like they're used to having.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest crowd I can recall, maybe two crowds, was New London playing, I think it was Lincoln High School from New York.
That. Yeah.
That was, I think Troy was playing at that time. And that place was packed to the max. I mean,
yeah. I think it was actually Mike Lancaster's senior year. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, New London won, but it was back and forth. It was exciting.
No, that was very. And what's the second one?
That was a state game with actually Middletown in here with Cornelius Thompson.
Oh wow, okay.
And they didn't play New London. It was a neutral court deal, as I recall. But he was big time at the time. I mean, he was the king guy in the state, and went to UConn and had a good career. Played in the NBA briefly. Yeah. And so I mean, he was getting a lot of press during his high school years at Middletown. I mean, the Hartford Current was following him.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So
they had a pretty big crowd. I don't know if you remember this when Alan Chaney and R.J. Evans battled. It was ECC Finals, I believe, was at New London. Mm-hmm. If you saw the video, they were standing around the court. It was very crowded, that game.
Yeah. Well, the two Chaney brothers are terrific athletes. I'm surprised you got Cassius. I mean, he's still boxing, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yep. He wanted to do it, and I like Cassius. He's played at a high level. Went to University of New Haven. And he's a professional athlete. He knows the game, and he's very interested. And he loves working with the youth as well.
Actually, both brothers do, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, good young men. And they've both been on here, and I've enjoyed seeing them. And
good family.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think that you're off to a good start here.
I'm trying.
I'm looking forward to having you back after you've had a chance to get your team under your belt a little bit and see how things are going. And I want to wish you nothing but big success for your team and the school, our community.
Yeah.
I think it's terrific. And welcome back home. This is good stuff.
Good to be back home, Marty. Good to be back home.
You know, and I'll see your family out too. Your family's very supportive of everybody in the family.
Oh yeah.
Coaches, players.
Yep.
Everybody's out.
Yeah.
So that'll be good too. Well, again, I want to thank you for carving out a moment or two to be on the program.
My pleasure.
And we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Folks, you've been watching City Focus. I've been really pleased to have Coach Dave Cornish on tonight. He's our new coach at New London High School boys basketball. And to get out and watch him this fall and winter, be good entertainment. And with that, we'll say good night. We'll see you next week. Good night.
You're right.